This episode is brought to you by Prestige Studios, Toronto's newest community dance studio. Located in the heart of Leslieville in Toronto, Prestige is a studio for the community, by the community. Make sure to visit www.prestigeto.com for class schedules and also give them a follow on Instagram at PrestigeTO. Are you a dancer who has goals of working on a film and TV set or in a music video and have no clue where to start? Or are you a parent whose child dreams of being on a show like The Next Step? Well, we've got just the episode for you. This is episode 31 called Industry 101 with Amy Wright. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged podcast presented by the Dance Plug Toronto. My name is Urbanozo, and I'm a former dance studio manager turned dance entrepreneur and advocate. Each week, we bring you a guest with stories of life experiences working in the industry, along with useful tips and information to help you on your journey. If you are listening to the podcast for the first time, welcome. Wherever you are listening from, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Before we get into today's guest, here are a few events that are happening in the city later this month. Calling all K-pop dance fans, Honey J will be teaching a special pop-up class on November 11th at Prestige Studios. Catch her as she makes a tour stop in Toronto with Jay Park. To register, visit www.prestigeto.com. The Skills and Soul Festival is back for one more ride on Sunday, November 17th. Watch and participate in urban dance battles, international caliber shows, and workshops for all levels. All powered by Gadfly's 12th year anniversary. Until November 10th, use the promo code GADFLY for 30% off festival tickets. For more information, you can visit www.gadfly.ca. On November 23rd, Tasha Taz and Shamika Blake are collaborating for a special dancehall workshop at Gotta Dance Studios. Come and learn from two of the city's dancehall vets in a special 1.5-hour class. To register, you can email gtadancehall@gmail.com or aimdancecompany@gmail.com. This week, we sat down with casting director, choreographer, and producer of The Next Step going into its 7th season, Amy Wright. Amy has just wrapped choreographing for the soon-to-be-released NBC Universal Netflix series Dare Me, and other recent work includes the new Nickelodeon series Blue's Clues and You, and with an E, The Umbrella Academy, American Gods, among others. Over the years, Amy has been fortunate to work with some of the hottest stars in the business and has choreographed 11 Academy Award winners and nominees. With an eye always open to new talent, Amy has cast hundreds of dancers for a variety of projects ranging from television's Next Step, to Find Me in Paris, to Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, and even Dances into the Spotlight. With a focus on performances for young audiences, she teaches and adjudicates internationally, and her teaching method is highly regarded, which combines acting and dance techniques. In her episode, we give you a crash course on the basics you need to know to get into the industry. We cover a wide range of topics from seeking representation, to resumes, to headshots, to demo reels, auditions, and unions. There's tons of really useful content jam-packed into this 1-hour episode. So get your pens and paper ready and let the class begin. This is episode 31, called Industry 101 with Amy Wright. Recording from Prestige Studios in the heart of Leslieville in Toronto. I'm joined by casting director, choreographer, and producer of The Next Step, which is going into its 7th season, and has also recently choreographed for NBC Universal Netflix series Dare Me. I'm very honored today to be joined by the ever so lovely and amazing Amy Wright.
Thank you. It's nice to be ever so lovely.
You are ever so lovely. Thank you again for meeting me for the second time.
Well, thank you for having me for the second time, but it's really people's only first time hearing what we have to say.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, why don't we talk about humble beginnings? Where does your journey in dance begin?
My journey in dance, I guess it's a humble beginning. Yeah, we all have to start somewhere. I grew up in the town of Simcoe. I'm a dance studio kid, so I trained actually at many, many different dance studios. Well, back then it was really ballet, tap, and jazz. Mm-hmm. Hip-hop didn't exist, and neither did ACTRA classes. Town of Simcoe. And then I went to University of Western Ontario, stopped dancing for a bit, started again, and I went to theater school at the Randolph Academy.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and then what else? That's it. Those are my beginnings. I guess I started when I was 3 or 4.
Nice. How did you get into choreographing for film and TV? Did you see yourself doing what you're doing now?
I didn't really know that being a choreographer or a casting director or anything was a career. I think when I was a little girl, I just wanted to be a dancer, a ballerina, or a star.
Yes.
So that's just what I wanted to do. So I guess I knew I wanted to perform. I fell into choreography. I guess actually my very first choreography was when I was in high school. I would make up the cheerleading routines with my friends. And I didn't realize at the time, but that is certainly being a choreographer. It just felt like, I think when you're younger, you just make up dances.
Yeah.
Well, not you just. I mean, not everybody just makes up dances, but that's what I did. I was always making up routines and dances in my living room, cheerleading. When I was at Randolph, I started assisting the choreographers, or I would work towards being the dance captain of whatever the show was I was working on. And then after I graduated Randolph, I worked for Stephanie Gorin Casting. And my first choreography jobs sort of came through Stephanie. I got to choreograph a Campbell's Chunky Soup commercial, which had cheerleaders in it.
Very nice.
And Stephanie Gorin recommended me to assist the choreographer on the movie Superstar. And then my first theater choreography was a production of Crazy for You in Cornwall, and I'd absolutely loved that musical. So I kind of fell into choreography. I didn't seek to do it. It just started happening, and I embraced it.
That's great. I know you had mentioned Stephanie Gorin earlier, but are there any other, individuals that played a key role in your development as an artist?
Yes, I guess I should explain. Stephanie Gorin took me under her wing when her office was growing. She was a new casting director. She'd done a lot of the musicals. She was getting into music videos and commercials. And then she just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now does, films and huge. She's won an Emmy for casting on the show Fargo. So she certainly is one of my mentors, and she guided me. She's a friend, and she's like family as well. She's taught me everything I know. Other mentors, George Randolph would be one, bringing me into that program and introducing me to so many amazing teachers. I feel like I can trace all of my work. It's like a family tree, and where you start, and then you meet people, and it just grows from there.
Yeah.
So other people, I mean, I'm super inspired by performers that I've looked up to. When I was in grade 9, I saw Cats, the musical.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those people that were in the show at the time were my heroes. So indirectly, they mentored me without even knowing it. I mean, I would stare at their picture in the program and read their bio and want to take classes where they took classes. And I've since gotten to work with many of them. The main choreographer of the movie Superstar, her name's Marianne Kellogg, and she really taught me everything. I've had a lot of great influences. I'm very lucky. Mm-hmm. I think maybe we'll get to this, but one important thing as a performer is trace who you're working with and remember them and don't forget them. That's something that I value. After working with Marianne Kellogg, I've stayed in touch with her all these years. And George Randolph certainly always crosses my path, or the Randolph Academy, Loren, who's running it now, and Stephanie Gorin, and all these people from Cats. Like I kept the program, and I wanted to meet them and work with them, and I sort of have a checklist after I've met them.
That's great.
So yeah, keep track of that stuff. It's a networking.
Yeah.
Networking 101.
Speaking of 101, this is Industry 101. So what we're going to do is give you a bit of a crash course on everything you need to know about the industry.
Getting started.
Yes.
101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question I have to ask is, how would a dancer know this is what they want? How would they get into the industry, first of all? Or how would they know this is something that's for them?
I think it's in your heart. I think you know if you want to do it when it's all you want to do. I've always said you can try anything at any age. We're not just talking about performers that are finishing high school and they think, I want to be a dancer or an actor. You could be 55 and say, I'm going to be an actor today. At the same, I guess, flip of the coin, you can decide at 55 to go back to school and become a lawyer.
100%.
So when you want to do it, we're so lucky in this day and age that we really can pursue and follow our dreams. I think, in my parents' time, people had one career, one job, and they really stuck to it. And it's maybe good or bad now, but people really do hopefully they pursue what's in their heart. And then hopefully it brings you enough income to survive and live and have a house or rent a car or whatever it is you need. Yeah.
Let's talk about representation.
Okay.
Would you say it's beneficial for dancers to seek representation? And what are the pros and cons to having an agent?
I think it is super important to seek representation. You can do a lot on your own, but you're going to hit a brick wall eventually. There's only so much you can do trying to find your own work, your own auditions. There are many great places where you can see posts now. I mean, with Facebook or Instagram, people are always sharing auditions. There's a bunch of groups. I just, in Facebook, I just type the keyword dance or Dance Ontario, Dance Canada, and see what pops up. So yeah, you can find out about auditions on your own. It's just, you're not going to find out about as many. Also in film and television, casting people are going to go with the easiest and most direct route for them to find the best talent. So a casting director isn't going to want to put out a notice to the entire world when they can be very specific and get the information from agents. So if you have an agent, somebody representing you, that casting director reaches them and the agent gets you in the door with that person. It's a lot more efficient and you'll have a lot more doors open up. And if you want to know, I don't think I've talked about this anywhere, but it's like, how do you find the agents? Where do you look for them? Well, you can Google agents in whatever city you live. So we're in Toronto agents, Toronto agencies. The film union, ACTRA, has an entire page called Getting Started.
100%.
And it's under the performers tab. And they have a list of agents there. UBC is a union in Vancouver, SAG and AFTRA in the States. You don't have to be a member to access a website. So do your research, read up. And then all of those agencies now have websites. And you can read on what do you need to do to get in with them. It always helps, of course, to have done your networking and have a referral to get in with that agent. But certainly having an agent will get you in. And then there's all sorts of stuff reading too about what are bad agents. People are scared of that, right? I don't want a bad agent, and who's the right agent for me? I guess the simplest thing is a, quote, bad agent is someone who won't make you pay to be part of their agency off the top. They make money when you're working. So if you're out doing whatever dance job, commercial, they take a commission off that. And the more people they have that are working, the more their agency has an income and grows. So if they're asking you, I mean, you and I, we could start an agency right now. Just call it Amy and Roy's Amazing Agency. And we could have everybody who we want pay us $300 to join. And we don't even have to do a thing. We could take 100 people, 300 each, we'd be rich. So it's pretty scammy.
That's a huge red flag.
A huge red flag. So read up, do your research. Find out, again, on the ACTRA Toronto website, accessible, I'm sure, around the world. What is it? What are red flags? What are things to look out for? And then just trust your gut. You can't go wrong unless you have to pay up front. But once you're there and once you're trying it with that agent, more doors will open and you'll hear about different agencies and you just kind of move around.
Great. Next thing I want to talk about is resume prep. Now, as someone who's looked at a plethora of resumes, what are some things that dancers should include in a resume and some things that they should omit?
Well, I will ask you, everyone at home, and Roy, what do you think is the most important thing on a resume? Like you asked me a question and I'm asking you a question back. Do you want me just to tell you? It's a lot of pressure.
I'm going to say qualifications. I don't know. Maybe qualifications and past work experience?
Well, that is important. But the most important thing on a resume is your phone number or email.
Point of contact.
Yes. If you have no qualifications and you haven't done anything and you come to audition for me, or anyone, and you don't leave a point of contact, how will I ever reach you? I know, see, it was a trick question,
It is.
right? I have had many resumes come in. I guess on the Next Step TV series, I was like, that was exciting. I was too excited there. On the Next Step, we audition dancers that don't necessarily have agents. So I get many, many fresh resumes that have been made by parents. I've been given ones with incorrect phone numbers, incorrect emails, phone numbers that don't have voicemail. And when I'm trying to call you back for a callback tomorrow and I'm calling 50 people in, it's a huge pain in the butt to find you if you don't give me your proper information. So that's my number one.
Yeah.
Other things to put on a resume. I feel like now it's good to maybe avoid your address. It doesn't really matter where you live if you can get to the auditions. Also, you never know where that resume is going to end up. So the last thing you want is some creeper finding your photo with your address and coming and knocking on your door and thinking you're so handsome or beautiful or whatever. So just leave off your address. It's email, phone number, super important. You'll put your height. Sometimes you put your weight, hair color, eye color. And then, yes, make it a one-page document. If you have more than one page of things, then you need to play with font and size and margins and tabbing. It's quite frustrating. I mean, again, auditioning the young performers, a lot of them have parents who do a resume that's like a business resume, and it starts with objectives. Get rid of all that. Performing resumes are different. Your name. You can say you don't have much, just make your name really, really big. Even put a little photo if you need to fill space. And then, yes, your credits, things you've done. If you haven't been paid as a performer, you can put whatever you did recently, anything that you think is of value. Listing your training is important, maybe some awards. Really on your resume, sure, it's cool if you did, I don't know, the musical 42nd Street. I know you're a tap dancer, but it's also maybe who directed that musical and who choreographed it. Who are you training with? Where are the classes you're taking? If somebody has your name, Roy, on their resume, then I can call you and say, tell me about this person. Or I can trust also that you've given them quality training. So again, that's the networking. It's almost more important to have great teachers if you haven't done a lot of performing. And then if you've done a lot of performing, of course, that's awesome. Put that on there as well. And one more thing, don't put dates. When you're younger, it's nice to list maybe the number of years, the different styles you do, hip hop, acro, basic tumbling, ballet, how many years if you've passed any exams. Sometimes people will put that they did 42nd Street in 2019 and Anne Green Gables in 2018. And those are the years you don't have to put. It's not like a normal job that you worked at McDonald's from 2013 to 2017. Get rid of those dates. No one actually cares what year you did the show or the TV series. You can Google that if you really need to know.
What I want to do next is make a connection to an earlier episode. So back in our first episode, Mark Samuels makes a remark about how Instagram has now become, I guess, the new method of how casting directors search for talent. Do you think that proper resumes, now that this type of information has been easily accessible, has it become obsolete?
I think Instagram is being looked at. I have a feeling that the casting directors, I mean, the big names here in Toronto, there's Stephanie Gorn and Robin Cook and Jason Knight and Larissa Mayer and, oh my gosh, tons and tons of casting people that you can look up, commercial casting people. I am pretty sure that they don't sit at home and creep Instagram looking for talent. They are going to bring in the best person that they think is right for that role. Where the social media presence does occasionally play a part is that particular show might be looking for a way to help boost sales. So let's say I was doing a musical and Briar Nolay is this very popular, she's on The Next Step, but she just did World of Dance.
Yep.
She has over 600K followers. And I'm going to hire Briar because she's obviously talented and beautiful and smart. And yet, if she is able to also put a post saying, oh my gosh, I'm in this show, potentially it might sell more tickets. Potentially you might get more viewers. But I do think casting people, one, they don't have time to be looking for new talent on Instagram. But I see people like Larissa Mayer. She's always supporting. Even this one actress that we know, a dancer, performer, she's just got on General Hospital. And she shared a little clip, and Larissa said, congrats, you're awesome. So it's that sort of, we all follow each other's careers more like that. And maybe the next time that woman from General Hospital gets an audition, the casting director might be like, oh, right, just because you're in her thoughts more often, she sees you on Instagram, and it just keeps you fresh in her brain.
Yeah.
But I think casting directors would be in deep trouble if all they did was bring in people because they have high Instagram. But it is a great tool. We all view and watch each other and follow, and everything is visual. So one thing that's amazing that you can do as a young performer is post. Oh, look at me. I'm at Prestige Dance Studio today. Look at me taking class here. Look at me at this workshop that Travis Wall is teaching at. And that just gets you out there. And it's the networking again and having you present and prominent. That's all really cool. And then you can also share videos of yourself, videos of you dancing, videos of you. I'm not going to say in class because that's sometimes one of the challenges is class videos and choreographers and this and that. But tape yourself after. Ask the choreographer, do you mind if the teacher, can I just video myself and tag you as the choreographer? Then you've got footage of you dancing.
Yeah.
And I can look at that if I feel like. And the same with acting. Why not put a little scene up or something like that? It can't hurt.
Definitely can't hurt. Headshots. Now, should talent have headshots that best reflect the job that they are applying for? Now, for example, should they take a younger looking photo for a Disney gig that they are auditioning for?
Yes. The challenge, I think, comes with budget. If you're not really bringing in an income, it's really hard to go to a photographer and spend money on an entire day getting a photograph for every look. Start with one photo that looks like you. And whatever is your first, they call it your hit. What's your hit? Me, I think I look like like a TV mom who should be, I don't know, doing what TV moms do, serving fries or Cheerios to their kids. My first hit is I'm a nice Canadian girl with a nice smile or whatever. I don't know. But if I needed an edgier photograph, a more dramatic picture, so now I can get that done. Even my photos right now are promo shots. They're a little more glamorous side of Amy, which is fun. But they're promos that I would use on posters or advertisements or things like your podcast. It's not to get me an acting job. So get a picture that really looks like you. And again, that's money and research. Yes, you can have friends take a headshot for you. I mean, cool iPhones have the portrait mode now.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But if you can spend a bit of money to get a proper headshot taken with a proper headshot photographer, you can Google headshot photographers and look through their images and pick someone for you. And I do think you have to spend money to make money. You really do, because there is a difference between somebody who knows how to take headshots and just your friend on their iPhone.
And in hindsight, it's an investment for yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then later, once you are getting auditions and getting work, then maybe take different headshots. Get your one where you're fresh-faced, you're super clean-shaven, maybe one where you look more like a student or a business person. Typically, people go for the smiling headshot and the more serious, smoldering look headshot. And that should cover it off. It should cover off happy projects and commercials and then serious acting roles. So if you can do it, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Really, one of the most important things, too, about looking the job isn't just your headshot. It's when you go to the audition. Dress the part. So, if you're auditioning as a bride or a groom, you don't necessarily have to go get an entire wedding dress and a tuxedo, but you won't show up in your ripped jeans and a T-shirt. And girls, ideally, you wear a pretty dress to be the bride. If you have a white dress, I don't know, you can do little things.
Yeah.
If you're trying out to be a student, wear what you might wear to college that day. Maybe put on a backpack if you're one of those cool people who has glasses. Going into dance auditions, dress appropriately for the show. At the next step, if you watch any of our episodes, they don't wear like bra tops. They don't show cleavage or belly buttons. And so you kind of want to dress like that. If you're going to audition for the Rockettes, you're probably going to wear a bodysuit. This is females, the bodysuit with the high cut hips, clear tights, potentially, and heels. You're not going to go in your hip hop outfit to your Rockette audition. That would just be silly. So really pay attention to what the show is and be aware that you at least try to make an effort. I think, I'm not sure if I've told you this story before, but I was working on the Tim Hortons commercials last year, or 2 years ago, I got to go to Colombia, and it was, it aired before hockey. It was like, our growers, they select the beans, not as easy as it seems. This one perfect, that one too. So we did this dancing in Colombia. Anyway, people would come in to audition for the Tim Hortons server. One guy had like a thick sweater. It looked like he was hanging out by a fireplace in Muskoka, and he had a full beard. And I was looking, and I thought, it didn't occur to me till that moment, but I thought, do people that work at Tim Hortons have full beards? Well, of course, the casting people can say, are you willing to shave or not? But yeah, if you're coming in, if you're going to audition for Zombies 6 or whatever is going to be coming up, or The Next Step, or even this Tiny Pretty Things that was auditioning this year, Dare Me that I worked on, you're supposed to look like you're in high school, Riverdale. You don't go in with your full beard looking like you're 25 to 27. Look like you're in high school.
Yeah.
One guy came to an audition with his beard, and I know him, and he's really only 19, and he looked, 25 is not really that old, but he didn't look like he was in high school. I was like, dude, what are you doing? This is a high school show. He says, I'm going to go shave right now. And he left, shaved, and came back. So do what you got to do, and just put on your thinking cap and take that time to process what kind of headshot, what do you need to wear, what do you need to prepare? Because if you don't, the person beside you is, and that gives them the leg up.
I just want to go back to headshots. When do you think it is acceptable to send mobile phone quality photos as part of a submission?
I think you do it if you have to. Again, if you don't have a proper headshot and you need to quickly send a photo. Ideally, in your phone, you have your headshot saved as a file so you can forward that on. But like I said, if you haven't gotten an agent yet and you don't want to spend money on headshots, any photo will do as long as it looks like you. Send something. Send something with good lighting. Don't overdo it with the makeup. And especially, let's say that the one time where I might truly want what you look like today is if I'm very specific casting a regular person or a double for somebody, and I just need to see that your body type matches their body type, then just send a snapshot if the casting director asks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Demo reels.
Yes.
Why have them, first of all?
So a demo reel would be video footage of your work. Dancers should be collecting as much video footage of themselves. Ideally, it's not you in a group dance. It's impossible as a casting person to watch a demo that's only group dances because I have no idea who you are or how to find you in the group. So take some time. Why just keep sending in group videos? Just go dance by yourself and have your friend video you. So that's really important. Acting demos as well. Get yourself doing some scenes. There's a lot of acting studios now that will actually bring in other actors and you'll all act in each other's demos. You create scenes, so it's not just you by yourself. It's nice, but get the camera pointed at you, but at least you have somebody in the scene with you. A demo is important in two ways. One, the casting director is not sure if they're going to bring you in or not. They have a choice. They're looking at submissions. They can look at your demo and be like, great, that person's perfect, bring them in. Sometimes the casting director might not have time to bring you into an actual audition, so they could hire from video footage. I think for agents, in order to get an agent, you're going to want to show them something.
Yeah.
Unless you can invite them to a show that you're in or tell them, hey, I happen to be on TV Friday night at 7 p.m. Watch me. They're going to need to see something from you. So get some nice looking footage. Keep it short and sweet, like 2 minutes at the most. Do a little montage. Do what you need to do. And there are also professional editors out there who do demo reels. And I know most people can edit their own now on iMovie, but you can do your own editing. But if you can take it to a professional editor, they're going to make it look extra snazzy because they know what is out there or what people need to see.
Yeah. So dancers have representation. They've got a resume, they've got a headshot, they've got a demo reel.
Yeah.
Now comes the audition.
Right. Now they have to get the work.
Do you have any best practices for talent in auditions? Any do's or don'ts?
Sure. The number one thing at an audition, be on time. Don't be too early. You might psych yourself out. You might just be annoyingly early. The other day I told these people, do not come before 12:45. At 1 o'clock we will start. I will not be there before 12:45 and the building will be locked. And of course, there were people standing outside when I get there. I'm like, you need to listen. Go get a coffee. So if you need time to really, really stretch, yes, get there nice and early. Make sure you're parked. But if you're too early, walk around. Don't just go in and hover there. They're trying to set up. They don't need you standing watching all that. Bring your full bag. Bring your bag of tricks. Bring your shoes, all of your dance shoes. Bring even a change of clothes. What if you've picked this, amazing bodysuit and leggings, and you get there and you realize, oh, I wish I'd brought my flowy skirt or whatever it is. So maybe pack a couple things. Always have an extra headshot and resume with you, and be courteous and respectful. You can ask questions. Ideally, you don't have to ask questions the entire time. I mean, if you're really not getting it, chances are you're really not getting it. If you have to ask the choreographer a question every count of 8, they're going to think that you really don't get their style, so they'll move on to somebody who gets their style. So that being said, pay attention. If you're a person who hides in the back, you're going to want to get near the front at some point to see the choreographer, to see their assistants, to see how they're doing it and emulate that style. Pay attention when they call you out onto the floor. Usually dancers are seen in groups of 4 to 6. The first name called has a position, the second name called, the third name called. A lot of times people don't pay any attention and they just run out. That's always a good comedy moment. Keep your spacing. As choreographers are looking for people who can dance and hold their spacing. If you're all over the place, it's not going to happen. And if you forget, I was always first because A for Amy. They usually call your name by your first name.
In alphabetical order. So I was always in the first group, which was really hard for me because I would always forget. But you just keep going. Fake it till you make it. Look around, smile. Try and pick it up again. And if you absolutely can't remember anything, you just stay present and do your best. And then, I don't know why they don't ever start with the end. Because a W, I would either be first or last. But I was always first for Amy. So, when I run my auditions, I'm always very apologetic for those people that have to go first. And you understand, choreographers will understand in auditions, it's quick, it's fast. You might not remember it, but if you're showing potential and you're nailing the style, we know with rehearsal time you can get it. Which is maybe a reason to go take a lot more drop-in classes. Get with different choreographers, different teachers, and learn combos as often as you can by different people. See if you can pick up on their style, and then you, when you go to auditions, you'll just be faster at it and better at it. So that's one way to practice that. Nice.
And bring your own water bottle. The hardest thing is if you get cut. I used to like exit the room and then you're like, uh-oh, I forgot my bag in there, or I left my water in there, because you're sort of mortified. You leave like a puppy with its tail between its legs, and then you have to go back in and say, I forgot my coat, or I forgot my water. You can decide if you just want to leave that water there and never go back in. But that's good practice for auditions, and be supportive of the other people auditioning. Be respectful and don't sit down. I always find it fascinating when dancers sit down, because it's really, an hour of your life, and you're an athlete. And if you're that tired, you can't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't sit down.
Now, when you're behind the table, what do you specifically look for when you go through these groups now?
So watching dancers at auditions, I'm going to look for people, obviously, that are picking up the choreography, that have something to bring, maybe in addition to the choreography. So often before the routine starts, or after you get a little sort of freestyle moment, maybe put a little bit of your personality into that. You're going to look for different things depending on what the show and the audition are. If you're auditioning for zombies, the casting people and the choreographers are looking for certain characteristics, qualities, people that fit the age range of the lead actors they've already hired, somebody who's unique, somebody who stands out. Whereas if you're auditioning for Tim Hortons, it might be a completely different vibe. If you're auditioning for, I don't know, a dance horror film, it's different quality people. Oh, even the projects that are more hip hop and urban street dance based, they're looking for that. Everybody's looking for something special, but where your eyes are going to go will depend on the project, which is why you have to do your research and be prepared and be what that project needs. I feel, okay, so when I became a casting director and a choreographer, it's my job as casting director to bring in as many amazing people into the room. Talent, let's introduce them to producers, to the quote choreographer, which is me. If I wasn't the choreographer, you still want to bring in the best people into the room.
Yeah. And
the way that I personally run casting sessions is I need those people to look good. So I'm going to give them every advantage I can. I'm not going to make you your worst audition experience. For me, sometimes if I notice somebody with the name of Amy is in the first group and maybe they're a more novice dancer, I might try to make sure they're not in the front row. Or I might say, you know what, I'm going to just call these groups out of order, put the experienced dancers first, just because I don't want to ruin that person's day. I feel like as a casting director, if I'm not bringing out the best in people, then, well, one, why would I be ever asked again as a casting director? But two, it just makes me look good. Is that funny? Like if I'm bringing in the best dancers to the next step, the producers are like, wow, these are the best dancers. 500 of the best dancers in Canada. They're here. Yes, they are. So at my auditions, I want to help you look your best. So when you meet the producers, you're not just tripping. So that's something. And then, if casting people and choreographers aren't supporting you to give your best performance, then I think they're a bunch of jerkballs. Anyway, you need to help people do their best audition. Think of a typical dance audition. I know Zombies was this year. There was 50 people every couple of hours going in that room. And the next step this year, we saw over 500. Sometimes I see up to 1,000 dancers. Wow. So you do have to stand out. You have to bring something fresh, but the chances are greater that you're going to have a wonderful or a terrible audition experience to learn from than you are going to book the role. So out of the 500 dancers that came to the next step this year, we hired 10.
Wow.
So 490 people. I could have not given them a great audition experience, but I prefer to do that. So they go home and say, you know what I learned today? I learned at auditions, I want to put my hair up. because it's hitting me in the face, or I was so wearing the wrong pants, or gee, I wish I'd brought my other running shoes, or gee, I wish I'd stood closer to the front. So you can take that experience and learn from it so that your next audition is better.
How much pull do you have as a choreographer regarding decisions that are made on casting dancers?
The choreographer can very quickly eliminate somebody who doesn't suit their style or somebody who isn't pulling their weight. However, if that person is the most fascinating, interesting person in the room and the producers and the director love them, as a choreographer, I'm not going to say you're stuck with them, but it then becomes your job to take that person and make them look their best for whatever the project is. So if you're coming in for the next step and you're not as strong of a dancer as the dancers we've had in the past, but the writers love what you're bringing to the table, and they say, this is the person we're hiring, then my job switches to rehearsing them properly, creating routines for them to make them look good on camera. So it depends. I mean, I guess the choreographer has, for me, most of the time when I'm choreographing, I'm also casting. So my power as a choreographer, again, is knowing you, knowing where to find you, knowing your dance teacher. I would audition everybody if I could. It's just sometimes I don't know how to reach everybody. I mean, yes, I could put it on my Instagram, but then it's really everybody. Then it's like little girl from Australia saying, I'm going to fly up and, oh, sorry, I sound British or, anyway. So there is your quote, power as a choreographer or power as a casting director comes from bringing the people in the room. And ideally the director and producer. I mean, if somebody absolutely cannot do it, or if there's a choice between two people and the producers like them equally, you then can say, well, this one can dance better, or this one's going to bring more to the project, or this one can do such and such flashy move that you guys want. So it's a give and take, I think. I feel like all my answers are like, well, it's this plus a little bit of that. You know, choreographers have some power, but not all the power. The people that have the power for hiring are the people who have the money. It's the guys producing Zombies 3, 4, 5. It's Tim Hortons corporation. And the bigwig there that's in charge of advertising, and the person beneath them and the person beneath them. So the choreographer can suggest the people and the casting director can suggest the people, but if you're not that person's cup of tea, then you're just not getting the job. But ideally, you're somebody else's cup of tea.
Post-audition, there are different outcomes at an audition, but I want to talk about one specific, and that's callbacks.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say what happens when you get cut. When you get cut, you leave, you cry. If you're old enough, you go to the bar. Just kidding. And you cheer for your friends that got kept. No. Okay. Specifically callbacks. Yes.
Yeah. So should talent enter callbacks differently in comparison to the first time that they walked into the audition?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I think talent has to come in doing what they did the first time. What you would do differently, perhaps, is have practiced the routine. If they told you to prepare something, or you do more research on the show, those are things you can do differently. But yes, you should wear what you wore the first time, because that is how I remember you. Do your hair the same, come in the same. If by any chance you've updated your resume or a headshot, you can always hand in a new one, but come back as you were. Because that's also why we called you back. Yeah.
Now, let's say the dancers are now casted to be on set. What can they expect?
Well, one of the most interesting things is that you do not get your call time until the night before. A lot of people that don't do this very often say, well, I'm working for you on Tuesday. What time? Like, I won't know that until Monday. So, don't ask.
Yeah.
You also have to plan, once we book you, that we book you for 24 hours. You cannot say, oh, so you kind of want me, but, you're booking me, but I have to leave at 5. No. When we book you for the day. Same as theater, you're ours. When you're booked, we own you. Regular civilian people who don't dance, who have regular jobs, not in the arts, often think we're crazy. Performers will miss a friend's wedding, an aunt's funeral. We do anything. I booked a job. I've booked a job, right? So you hold your entire day for that job. And that's one of maybe the biggest things is you have to figure out for yourself where your priorities are. Don't accept the job if you're busy or if you'd rather go to your cousin's wedding. Be on time. They always say 15 minutes early is on time.
Yeah.
Be ready. Be prepared. Don't start asking. They also, if it's a TV set or a film set, they can't give the call time until they wrap.
Yes.
If they don't wrap until 1 a.m, that's when the call times go out for the next day. But they do need 12-hour turnaround. So at that case, it's not a 7 a.m.
Yeah.
You're not going to be late and in trouble. Be responsible. Be respectful. I think that's just common courtesy as people when you book any job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I just recently started doing background.
Okay.
And I didn't think that I'd have to get rid of the whole day, right? You don't expect. Well, now I do. I give myself at least 12 hours. I'm like, this is a 12-hour day. I've had a 17-hour day once.
Yes.
Right. So you have to be ready for anything.
Yeah. Everything in this industry is hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Right. And it's true. You hurry up. Hurry up. I need your resume now. Hurry up. I need your demo. Hurry up. Hurry up. Come to this audition. Hurry up. I'm booking you for the job. I need your address for the contract. Hurry up. And then you wait and wait and wait and wait. And then you finally get to the job. And they say, hurry up, get to makeup. And then you wait. Yeah. So it's the industry, and it's a really fun one.
Next, I want to talk about unions. What role do they play on a film and TV set? And 2, how does this benefit dancers?
Well, the Film and Television Union in Canada is called ACTRA. And I'll actually just also mention the theater union is Equity or CAEA, some people call it. Being a member of the union, eventually I feel like any professional performer is going to want that as a goal. It sets a standard of professionalism. To say that you've succeeded, it's sort of like passing a test. If to be a good performer, you're supposed to get 80% and above, ACTRA is that 80%. That's not to say when you're not a member of ACTRA, you're not giving 80, 90, 100% because you are. But when other people are looking to hire you, it just means sort of that you've made it. You've passed that.
You've given that sense of validity there.
Validity, yeah. So you, a lot of people just think about, should I join the union? Should I not? I feel like when you're really young, maybe not joining sort of helps because you still want to do the odd toy commercial. A lot of times toy companies aren't what they call signatory to the union. They just shoot so many commercials in a year. They pay enough. What being in the union also will do is set a standard rate for pay. I know years ago, Drake and Rihanna shot that music video here, and I don't know how much everybody got paid. It might have been $150. I don't know. And they had hundreds of dancers. Now it's cool to say. I mean, I might have chosen. Well, I'm going to say I was in a Drake music video. I don't care. I'm only getting $150. But eventually, when that's all you're getting, and you're bringing a standard of work of excellence. It just means that you have to keep your waitering and waitressing job. Mm-hmm. You want to be paid properly. If we look at anybody who considers themselves a professional, there's a certain standard of pay. By signing into the union, they guarantee your pay. They guarantee you will get your overtime, your residuals. You can go on the ACTRA Toronto website and read the agreements. The film and TV one is called the IPA, or Independent Production Agreement. And there's all sorts of rules. Even auditions aren't supposed to be on concrete floors. They have to be, and they also should be within the area of shooting, so within the Toronto city limits. You shouldn't have to go out of your way. They'll make sure for a certain callback after callback that you're getting paid for your time. You hit a point saying, okay, well, I want to do as many non-union jobs as I can just to get my foot in the door. But eventually you need to make a living.
Yeah.
And you need to respect yourself. And the theater union as well. They guarantee a certain minimum per week. And the unions will help producers by, flexing. The next step is a lower budget television show. And so you get like a residual up front. So our residual is smaller than a feature film. A feature film gives you a whack of money up front to be in it, as opposed to a movie of the week. These things, the union will dictate that, and it's just nice to feel secure. It's also cool, to be honest, to have some dental coverage.
Yeah.
So that you can get your teeth cleaned and you don't have to pay for it. These are just cool things. And then also, like I said, just being at a certain standard. Eventually you want to make sure you're getting paid properly. And now when you're in the union, you're not supposed to do non-union work. Mm-hmm. I just had this conversation actually with a dancer on American Gods. And she had done a few ACTRA jobs and had gotten a permit to join. Because let's say I'm doing an ACTRA production, American Gods. Because it's ACTRA, I can help you get a permit to become an ACTRA member just for that day. Mm-hmm. Or a couple of days, whatever it is. And after you've gotten that permit, you can decide if you're going to join the union or not. You have 6 weeks to decide. Well, she was like, I don't think I'm going to join. And I said, why? She says, well, I still like to do so many of the sort of industrial jobs. Like, for instance, there's a company called Hit and Run, and they might provide dancers for a wedding. Or let's say CIBC Bank is having their Christmas party and they want entertainers. Those aren't union jobs anyway. And I said, so what is it that you're doing? What are these? And she says, well, these types of gigs. And I said, but that's not a conflict. And she didn't realize that. So I thought I should share that now. What they mean is if you're in the union and you're doing professional work, you're doing commercials, you're doing a musical, a stage musical, is that you don't just go and do the community theater that's not paying anyway, because then it diminishes the value of being in the union. Yeah. And really, if you're making money, if you're in a theater production or you're doing the odd American Gods episode or commercial, you're making more money than you do on the free, quote, free $150 a day videos. And I find that, I'm just going to go back to Drake. It's one of the weird things that one of the highest paid performers still won't highly pay the people in the videos, but it's, I guess, because he can. Yeah. The same goes for the Much Music Video Awards. It's a huge, huge, huge production, but they're not signatory to ACTRA. And I don't really know why, but it has something to do with, it airs on City TV, right? Anyway, whoever's airing it doesn't have to hire union performers. But then again, as a dancer, if it's not signatory to ACTRA, you're not supposed to do it. Some people do anyway, and it doesn't count. But to say, well, I was on the Much Music Video Awards and I danced with Psy, great credit for your resume. Mm-hmm. But then do you want to do that year after year after year after year, or would you rather get the feature film? Casting directors who are working on union productions, commercials, TV shows, even theater, have to prove to the union that they didn't have somebody who could do the job. So I'm looking for 10 dancers for the next step. And they have to be in between the ages of 15 and 17. And I'm going to say Canadian kids, which is diverse faces, body types, skills. The union will say to me, look at this. We have 100 union members, Canadian kids, who are diverse, skill set, body type, this, that. You're telling me out of the 100 union members, you can't find one and you have to hire this non-union person? So I actually have to prove to the union why we need that non-union person. Usually it's because they have a characteristic or quality that we don't already have in the next step, or they're exceptionally talented at their skill set. And that's a lot of due diligence. So if you're already in the union, that gets your foot in the door above the people that aren't already in it. It's a funny thing, but it's something that will happen. If you're just like a normal dancer, I think I was a normal dancer. I was a good dancer, kind of looked like everybody else, danced like everybody else. And now everybody's like, how did you get in the union then? It's a long story. I actually got into the theater union first. And then on your first commercial or your first actor job, they're sisters. So I was able to become a member of ACTRA.
Nice.
But yeah, you have to prove, ACTRA also will look out for you. And it's nice to be a member of something that says, wait a minute, you can't just hire somebody else like Amy Wright when we have Amy Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, this is more on the personal creative side for you. How do you balance being a creative as a choreographer, but still sticking to what production wants?
Right.
Do you have to change your vision based on what they say?
I think on most projects, whether I'm doing theater, commercials, TV, or movies, the script and the story comes first from them, from the producers, the people that have the money, the writers, whoever it is. So my job actually starts with interpreting what it is they want. So then my creativity can kick in, and how do I envision what they want, and how do I present it to them in a way that they'll like it?
Yeah.
I think where choreographers get to have complete creative control is if you create your own show or your own piece. The Fever After Dark and shows like that, where choreographers can say, you know what, I'm going to take my best vision, my dream piece, and I'm going to create it. That's rare when you're being paid, that you just get to start from scratch with whatever you want, because the people paying you will want you to do what they want.
Yes.
Ideally, my creativity brings out what the director had also envisioned. I would say it's a rare case that the director will just watch it, or the writer or the ad agency, and go, oh, perfect. More often than not, they come in and say, what if you try this? Or I was hoping you could shift that, or a little bit longer of that. And that's also, well, one, it's their vision. But two, they also have to look like they're doing something to the people who are paying. So they're going to want to put their little twist or stamp on it. But everything I do is collaborative, and everything I do is story-based. There are choreographers who might choreograph for dance studios. I think that's maybe a good place. If you have a vision for a dance, you go into whatever dance studio and say, hi, you're 10 seniors. This is the music I want, the costume I want, the piece I want. But usually the creative vision comes from the creative people who wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. For any aspiring choreographers or casting directors out there who may want to work in the commercial world, do you have any advice for them?
Networking is how I started. So keeping in mind the people that you've met and developing relationships is huge. I said way earlier that I can trace every job like a family tree. Once somebody works with me, if they go to another set and they hear there's a choreographer needed, they're like, oh, I know this girl from my last job. Or if sometimes even an agent will get a call saying we're looking for a choreographer, or somebody knows you, Roy, and is like, hey, I'm doing something that needs a choreographer. Do you know anybody? So often they say it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So I spent a lot of time looking up this program from Cats, right? And I was like, I know that person and that person and that person and that person. But I learned it's not actually that I know them, it's actually that they know me. So that when they are asked, hey, do you know someone? They go, I do. I know Amy Wright. Just say my name again and then everyone will know it, just in case you have a job for a choreographer. But yeah, it's really getting your name out. And once you work with somebody, they remember. Even this summer, I got to work on Umbrella Academy. And luckily, the woman there who read the script first, I guess, noticed choreographer, and she said, I know a girl. And all of a sudden, I was emailing, and I had the job. And Definitely when you're starting out, it's growing things for the resume.
Yeah.
Having that footage, people were always asking to see what I'd done. One of the harder things for theater choreographers, or if you're a choreographer for a dance studio, is shooting things that are on stage, because it doesn't look good. The quality is usually blown out if you're shooting dancers on a stage. Mm-hmm. So maybe try and get those people somewhere where you can control the lighting and make a better video. Even sharing maybe a rehearsal video in costume rather than on stage when everybody's just glowing balls of light dancing around. Have stuff to show people and be kind and give people thoughtful gifts after you finish working with them. Really networking is the most important thing. I've always tried to be a person who keeps track of everyone and where they are. And every year there's this one award show. One of the guys who was a production assistant, his name was James Fraser, and he now produces stuff. And we both started out basically as assistants and PAs, and when I wasn't working for Stephanie Gorin, I cleaned her house. Like I babysat her kids. So from those humble beginnings to now saying I'm a casting director, but now I see James every year. I'm like, oh, we started out 20 years ago, 27 years ago, whatever it was. And it's really awesome to see people that you've grown through the business with. Mm-hmm. Don't ever diminish someone's role. A woman that used to be the secretary to a producer, I saw her years later, and she was the head writer for Degrassi.
Wow.
And one of her greatest advantages of answering the phones and being the secretary for this producer is she got to read all the scripts that came into his office. And through reading those scripts, I mean, she was already talented, I'm sure, at writing, but she could see what was good and what was bad. Working in Stephanie Gorin's casting office, it's like being a little fly on the wall. It was like, okay, that's a great audition. That one didn't go so well. Seeing how directors work with people, you got to absorb all this stuff. And ideally, you can learn from somebody who's willing to teach you. Mm. So if you're a young choreographer or casting director, volunteer to work with somebody who's more known. It's nice if you can get paid. Sure, it'd be nice if a casting director can pay you to work in their office, but if they can't, you volunteer because they're going to pass on their knowledge. Yeah. And the more knowledge you have, the greater you can be. Mm-hmm. Another thing interesting I never thought of before is you don't bite the hand that feeds you. Mm. So if somebody's doing you nice favors and teaching you, let's say, luckily this hasn't happened to me, but let's say I'm taking on an assistant and I want to help them and I want to grow them and I want to teach them all my tricks. They're not then going to sneak over to the producer and be like, yo, psst, hire me instead of Amy next time. That's called biting the hand that feeds you. Yeah. If that producer sees value in that new person and they want to hire them next time, there's also sort of a respect. Like, of course that's going to happen in my life. I can't do every job. And if the person who I've been sort of, quote, training or who's been my assistant for years gets a job, you can celebrate that. But there's also a respectful way to do it is say, hey, this happened to me too when I eventually, I was assisting other people and one day I got a job. And it's like, thank that person who taught you. Thank you for helping me get there. Mm-hmm. Rather than just, I'm stealing all your connections. Yeah. That's not why you want to assist people. It's just to steal their Rolodex, right? You want to assist to truly learn. Mm-hmm. And I'll still work with anybody that will have me because I can learn from everybody. Yeah.
On a high note, why do you think people speak highly of you after working for you?
I don't know. I was thinking, I know that you had mentioned this question before, so I was thinking about this in the car, actually. I really give out what I want to get back. I can't do everything. I clearly can't break dance, and I'm really bad at whacking, and I certainly don't do my point work anymore, whatever these skills are. So I need to I need to be kind to people so that they will want to work with me so that we can all make the job a great thing. Yeah. So what I give out to them ideally is kindness and support in order to get a great product coming back. Plus, it's just nice when I love people and they love me back. It makes me feel good. But that goes back to when I was saying as a casting director, if you don't give the people every opportunity to be their best, what kind of product are you getting?
Yeah.
I feel like there were a few people that gave me a leg up, and I'd rather give others a leg up as well. It's like, it's pay it forward, I guess.
Yeah.
So hopefully those things that I'm doing for people, they will also do for others. Mm-hmm. And then the world will just be a better place.
Yeah.
Through dance. Yeah. To be honest, any job I've ever done, everyone is infected with the joy of dance. From the grips or the stage lighting guys or whoever it is. If there's dance on any day, any project, everybody's happy. So I thrive on that happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's funny you mentioned that because I've been back on a couple of sets where there was dancing. You can just see the glow in their eyes and everything. Like even just as a background performer, just watching around and just seeing how people like react to seeing things on stage, for example, right?
Right. And it's life affirming. And I mean, even the other day I was at an event, it was called Dancing with the Stars of 911. And the couples dancing were real first responders. So one couple was made up of 2 police. One was an ambulance attendant. One was a firefighter. Somebody does like special victims unit investigating. And these people are dancing. And the joy in the room, they weren't professional, but they were just killing it. And the whole room, it was just a beautiful night. So anyone can dance. And all those silly sayings like dance in the rain or, those things that can be made into memes.
Yeah.
They're actually true. And that's, for me, the best gift is being able to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hope in 5 years I'm still working, doing what I'm doing. I've never been a person who has a bucket list. It would be cool. I think for me, it'd be cool if I could choreograph a Broadway show. It would be cool if a movie I'd done became, as big as Moulin Rouge or Chicago. It'd be really cool if I was the person who invented the woe or, the floss. It'd just be like, does anyone actually know the first person who did the floss? Somebody, I bet, Roy, you know somebody who knows the history of that. Like somewhere, somebody knows that stuff. But just to do something that sort of lasts and is super substantial. And then again, I look at the next step and I'm like, well, that's lasted now. We've shot over 200 episodes and it's very substantial and kids around the world are inspired to dance because of it. So that's an amazing gift. But I didn't set out, 10 years ago saying, I want to choreograph a TV show that millions of children watch around the world. It sort of happens. Yeah. So if I keep putting out the good in the universe, hopefully the good will just keep coming. Hopefully, see, I'm putting it out there now. Hopefully I can choreograph a Broadway show. Hopefully I can choreograph a huge feature film. But if I'm working and making a living, then I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I can still afford my house in this crazy business.
Let's talk about the immediate future. What's next for you?
Well, today after I leave this meeting, so the very immediate future, after I leave this interview, I'll be going to a meeting for American Gods for their 3rd season.
Wow.
And it's exciting. Already this season, I'll have done 4 episodes. So it's really cool. We started with 1 last year, and now, I don't know, the writers are putting more dance in, which is great. I'm waiting to see, like I said, this summer I did Umbrella Academy. And with an E that I did just came out. Mm-hmm. The next step, we did our first Christmas special. So hopefully even those people that are 18, 19 that don't really watch the show anymore, they'll watch the Christmas special. Really what's coming up next is probably me chilling out and napping and having those unemployed days, which are sometimes needed after a busy, busy time.
Yeah, it was busy this last summer.
This summer, especially for dance in Toronto, was insane. And I've also been talking to the union. That's one perfect time where they had to start giving more and more people permits because the union members were busy. So I don't know what auditioned first, Work It, feature film, or Zombies. I don't know. But anyway, whichever one auditioned first got like the pick of the litter, right? They got the whatever they needed for that job. That's 50 dancers gone.
Yeah.
And then the next one, okay, well, the next 50 dancers gone. And then the actor was like, what do we do? There's no dancers left. So more dancers coming out of the woodwork, which is very cool. But it's life. We are employed and we are unemployed. And usually being unemployed is okay for about 2 weeks. And then you start to get really like bored and wanting to create something.
Yeah.
And that's where, thank goodness, people can create their own projects.
I don't know if you have the down low on the inside scoop on like the amount of work next year. Have you heard anything?
No. Well, I feel like there's rumors there's already going to be a Zombies 4.
Wow.
Hopefully, touch wood, Dare Me that I worked on, but it's a cheerleader show. Hopefully that comes back. Where you can find out what's shooting, just Google what's shooting Toronto. The Directors Guild of Canada, so the DGC, also ACTRA, and there's one other place.
Yeah, OntarioCreates.ca, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
You look up what's shooting, and as soon as they are green lit, and the union, whichever one it is, it could even be IATSE, which is the crew, or NABET, the crew, they put up a bond, so they've got money to pay people. Then these are going to appear on their what's shooting lists. Years ago, I saw one. It was, 11? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be terrible with remembering the date. The one about John F. Kennedy. It went the day that he died. I'm terrible because I don't perfectly know history because it was before I was born. Was it November 23, 1963? Maybe? I'm not expecting you to know either, but somebody watching this podcast will be like, Amy, you should know this. Anyway, the movie I think was called 11/23/63. And I was like, that date is interesting. And because it's obviously a very important date, I Googled it and I did find out that it was the JFK. And I'm like, that movie likely is going to have dancing in it.
Wow.
Because it would make sense that JFK goes to a party or something, or something in the, in that era. And I didn't follow up, but that's how you got to just research and find out about stuff. Sure, if there's a production, you don't know what the name of it at all is. You can't just randomly guess there's dancing in it. But as soon as Zombies, whatever that is, comes out, just keep training. Hopefully it's going to be just as busy. It also helps when our dollar is weaker than the US dollar. The Americans want to come up and they're building, what is it? Netflix is building a studio here.
CBS also just built one in Mississauga.
Amazing.
Yeah.
See, so the more space we have and the more fantastically talented performers that we have to offer, the better. So performers, keep training, do your due diligence. Don't just sit at home and expect things to fall into your lap. You have to make it happen for you.
Yeah.
Do your research, get your headshots, get your resume, look into agents, listen to what your friends are doing. I think a hugely important thing that I never said as well is share the information. If you're a 19-year-old dancer and you think, I heard about this audition, but I'm not going to tell anybody else, that just sucks. Why? Because if you're not the right type, the right thing, let's say you're not what Disney Zombies is looking for, why not tell the people who are? And because your job will come soon. So share the info with other people, because it can only help everybody, because there will be your job as well. Yeah. But if you hide it and sequester that information, that's just like, boo you. Share the info.
That's definitely what we try to do here on the Unplugged podcast.
We are sharing the info here. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Amy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again for taking the time out of your day to sit down with me.
Thank you.
Before we go, did you want to drop your socials? How can people get in touch with you?
My socials. The biggest thing, I have a website, amywright.ca, and usually Instagram, it's just Amy Wright Dance. You can also find me on Facebook the same way, but I don't mind being asked questions. I don't mind receiving emails. If you're going to send me a note saying, I'd like to audition for your next project, put your resume and photo in there. Don't just send a message, hi. Be thoughtful with your time when you're reaching out to casting people or choreographers. Be efficient is what I should say, to help them. The last thing I want to do is have 4 back and forths and then finally get your resume. Get a nice little package, send it, or if you have a specific question, you can ask Roy on his Instagram or mine, and I'm happy to answer anytime.
On that note, for those of you who are listening, wherever you guys are listening from, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review and also rate it. Give us a follow at the Dance Plug TO on Instagram. Huge thank you to Prestige Studios for hosting this interview.
I wanted to say Prestige Studios is a dance studio, not just a recording studio.
No.
It's Roy's recording studio, but it's Prestige Dance, and it's a lovely space. I came in here and I'm very excited because I can hold my next auditions here, which is very cool.
So Prestige Studios, they're brand new. They're Toronto's newest community dance studio located in the heart of Leslieville in Toronto. It's a studio that's for the community, that's made by the community. So make sure to visit their website at www.prestigeto.com for class schedule, and also give them a follow on Instagram at prestigeto.
I'm going to do that right now.
Again, this is Roy, the host of the Unplugged podcast, giving you a brand new episode every Friday at 8 a.m. And we will see you guys next week.